Alright, so let's continue. And in the last video, we connected our application to the Cloud Firestore database, and now we are fetching all the documents from the jobs collection and we are rendering them on our application. So now let's just work with the creation of individual job document, and for that firstly we will need to uncomment this new job model, and also we need to add that open prop again. And now for now, like, I'm hard coding the value of true so that it's always visible, and later on it will be managed by a state. So let's have a look. And now as you can see that we have the model, and we need to save the state for these individual input fields, for the input fields as well as the select one, plus the skills that we have over here. So for that, let's first import the React hook useState to save the state of the job details that we have, and let's have it over here. And let's name the state to be of job details, and the function which allows us to change it would be set job details, and it would be useState. And let's initialize it with, now the thing is, like, this state will be bound with all the fields that we have. So let me just explain you what it is. Like, we will be having all these fields within this object, within this like useState object, and those individual fields will be bound with these input fields. So whenever user makes that change, so the job details, like with the job details having all the different fields relative to the input fields would be changed. I know that that might sound a bit confusing, but it is not. So firstly, we need to have the same field names that we have in the job in the object that we have over here. So this is our state, and as you can see that we have all the respective fields that are going to be inside the job document over here as well. And the default value we are having the blank string, but for the skills, because they will be like multiple skills, so we have an array. Now we need to bind these fields to individual input fields that we have over here, and for that let's just give we have to target, firstly let's do one thing. Let's select all the filled inputs over here. Like, now I'm selecting all the filled inputs, and I will be adding an additional prop, and that is auto complete of false, so that we do not get the suggestion like when the user actually clicks on it, because that's kind of distracting. And now if we have a look, we are not seeing the suggestion list anyway. So let's work with this, and now we need to have pass in the name, and the name has to be the same as the field that we have over here, so that it's bound. And so this is basically the job title, and it would be title. At the same time, we also need to bound the value of it, and that is with the job details state that we have, and within that state it is the title one. So now it is bound, and we will work with the on change, like the handle change as well, the change handler, which will that's a lot of synonyms for the same thing. So that will kind of manage the change, like as soon as user types in something, so we need to kind of cater it as well, and we will work with that later on. Just for now, let's just hard code let's just bound these fields, the input fields, input components with the fields, and let's do the same for the other one, and that is the full time. So that is the job type. So if we have a look at the state, it is named as type, so it has to be the same, and that is within the select. Let's just name it as type. Make sure the name and the value are the same, like within the job details. And let's just copy it again, and let's go with the other one, that is the company name, and that the name of it is company name, and the other one is the company URL. And for that, if we have a look at our state, it is named as company URL. So let's do the same over here, and that is not this company URL. And the next one is the job, the location one, and if we have a look at the state again, it is named as location, so that has to be the same over here. Let's just paste the same thing, and we are essentially connecting or binding the values with the state that we have, and it is location. And let's just copy it again, and the rest, these two, and this is the link, so it is named as link in our state. and the last one is the description, and it is named as description. Now what we need to do is, like, is there anything else left? No, there's not. Now we need to work with the handler as well. Like, if we kind of like, if we see it right now, there won't be much difference, and the only, like, you will be able to see the difference if you type in something over here, such as let's type in Desi developer in this one, and title, the company name, let's give it as something like Google. And if we have a look right now, like, the state is bound with all the different fields. So if we have a look, you can see that the fields are getting filled in because they are connected with the state, and we are changing the state. Now before we add in the handle change, we need to do something else. Now that is, like, if you remember, in the select component specifically, we were adding in a default value, and now we need to, like, remove it from here, and we need to add it in the state of the, like, in the state, the job details state over here, like inside the, where was it, this is the job detail type, and we need to add it to the type over here, as well as we had the another, like, we had the other select list for the location. So if we have a look of here, we need to remove the default value of remote and add it to the location over here. So that won't make much difference now, like, it's the same thing that we were working with, but now the values are bound. Like, but if you type in something over here, as you can see that they, like, I'm typing on my keyboard, and there's nothing getting, like, nothing's getting changed, and that is mainly because the value are kind of hardly bind with these values, like with these fields, and we need to create a handle change so that we can change the state accordingly, and that would be handle change, and we will be getting the event. And now we need to change the state of our job details, and the first thing would be, like, because we need to use the event, so let's persist it, because otherwise it will dry after the first usage. And for the same purposes, let's do the set job details, and now, like, it is a, like, now we need to kind of merge the previous state and the new one. The thing is, like, whatever value that you specify over here, like whatever object you specify over here, it's gonna override the state. So we do need to persist the old one, otherwise, like, if the user makes any change in the title one and we only change the title, so the rest of the fields will get, like, removed, because it is obviously kind of, it overrides the state. So we need, in order to persist that, we can pass in a function, and that function will be having the old state, the old state that we have over here, and we should, like, we have to return back the object, the same state object. And firstly, let's spread out the old state so that we do persist the previous one, and now we need to change the field that the user is currently making the change on. And for that, let's do e.target.name, and we need to, like, the name value, as you can see, the name value will be the same as what we added in over here. And as you can see that everything is falling in place right now, and we need to set the value of it to be the same as what passed in as the value within that event object. So we save it right now. We also need to pass this handle change to all the different input fields that we have, as well as the select one. So let's, like, select it multiple times, all the different ones, and let's add the prop of on change and pass in the handle change. So that will work, as well as we need to pass in on the select one. Now I'm selecting the select components as well, and we need to pass in the same thing, on change and handle change. So let's have a look. Now let me just console the state as well, so that we can see that the state is getting changed, and we can do that by consoling the job details that we have. And if we have a look, if you open the console.log, and now as you can see that we are getting the state, and if we make any change over here, let me type in something. As you can see, like, we are able to type in, that's great. But if we type in something like over here, the state is getting re-rendered, because the component is getting re-rendered, and the state is, like, we are consoling it as well. So as you can see, the state within the job details is getting changed, so that's perfect. And, like, all the different fields are getting changed. So if I type in something like Google and this link, and also the select list, it's working fine as well. Like, I'm changing it to in office, so that's perfect, as well as the full-time, like the job type. So everything is working perfectly fine. Where is it? The part-time, yep. And also the job link and the description. So perfect, everything is working perfectly fine. Now let's just work with the skills one so that we are able to kind of save the state of the skills as well. And for that, let's just understand how exactly it would work. See, the thing is, like when the user first clicks on a skill, that will check whether or not that skill is already in there in the in our state in the skills array, and if it is, it will remove it, but if it is not, it will add it. So that kind of works like a checkbox. So let's work with it, and we will create a different function for that, and that is add remove skill, because this function will handle the adding as well as the removing of skill, and we will be passing the skill as an argument. And the way we want to work with this is, firstly we have to check job details dot skills. Now this is the array, and we have to check if this array includes the skill that we just clicked on, and we need to pass. Then we will be then we will be removing it. Like if it is already in the array, then we will be removing it. So let's use the ternary operator, and in this case we will be in this case we will be removing, but if it is not, in that case we will be adding it. And by the way, we can do it in we can return this value straight away. We do not really need to have the curly braces. And now what we need to do is, for the removal of the skill, let's use the same function of set job details, and we will be using the function because we need to refer the previous state. And let's do old state, and let's return back the stuff of old state. Let's spread out the previous state, as well as now we need to work on the skills. The skills would be old state dot filter. We need to filter out the array, and we need to remove that particular skill that we clicked on, because it's already in there and the user clicked on it. So we need to remove it, and we can do that by doing filter, and that would be the skill. And if the skill is not equal to the skill that so now we need to change the name of it, because it's the same as what we are passing in. So we can change it as S. So that's not very intuitive, but you do get what we are doing, and we need to check. So let me just explain you what we are doing. When the user clicks on it, and if it is already in there, we are removing it. And to remove it, we are using the set job details. We are using, actually I'm not able to format it, and let me just format it in this manner. Okay, so what we are doing is, if the user clicks on it, and we are removing it over here, and we are taking the reference of the previous state, we are returning back the new state, and the state is basically merging the previous one, and we are updating the skills field, which is basically an array. And we are one second, I forgot one thing. It should be skills, and yeah, that was a terrible mistake I was about to make. Anyway, so we are referring to the old state, and within that old state we are using the skills array, and we are filtering out that array, and this filter function or the method returns back a new array, and we are returning back a new array which does not contain that skill. So that might look a bit confusing, but you can kind of go back a few minutes and you can kind of rewatch this section. Anyway, so this will remove the skill from the array, that the skills array. And now if the skill is not present, and let me just remove this comment, and the thing is if the skill is not present, so that means we need to add in that skill. So we can do that by, let me remove this one, and using the same function set job details, and we will be using the previous one, and that will return the new state. Let's just spread out the new state, and now the skills array, and that skills array will be referring to the old state, and within that old state we need to refer the skills, and we need to concat. Now concat is a method that allows you to add in a new element to an array, and this concat actually returns back a new array. So that works perfectly for our case. And let's just add in the skill that we passed into this function. So yep, let's just use this function on the when the user clicks on any of the skill, and that is when the user is mapping on the skill. And over here, let's just when the user clicks on it, let's just call this add remove function, and we need to pass in the skill as well. So this would be a callback, and let's just pass in the skill. And yep, so we cannot see it, but we can see the console because that is inside the state, and it will kind of re-render when it changes as well. So yep, it is saved. Let me just reload it. And now if I click on this JavaScript, yep, as you can see that it has been added. And if I click on React, that is added as well. But if I click on JavaScript again, it should be removed and we should only be having React. So that is perfect. Now let's just work on the UI, like to display whether or not that is visible, like sorry, whether or not that is included in the skills. So for that purposes, what we will be doing is in the skill chip, like the skill chip class, which is kind of styling our this chips, we will be adding in a new class name, and that would be included. And that class name would be having the same styling when the user kind of hovers on each one. And we can do by copying it and pasting it in over here. So we need to add in this class name to all the skills which are inside that array. So over here, let's go back and we will change, like we will use the backticks so we can add multiple class names. And firstly, let's just add in the, like this skill chip class name has to be like always there, whether or not the skill is kind of included or not. But now we need to check like whether this particular skill is inside the state. And for that we can use another expression, and we can do job details. Within that skills, we have that array, and we can check includes the skill that we are currently mapping on. And if it is true, we can use the and we can say that we need to use the classes and within it the included one. So let's have a look. And I think I made a typo, and yep, it has to be skill. And let's see. And if I click on it right now, yep, so it is actually working perfectly fine, and you can see that everything is working fine. The state is getting persisted, and now we just need to send this off to the server. And yep, so let's do that in the next video, and thank you.